Do it? Go. All right. If we could call the Ways and Means meeting to order. It is 4:00. Present are myself, Elaine Daly, Legislator Nightingale, Jay, Vitale, and Winslow. I'd like to get a motion to approve the May 20th minutes.
I'll move it.
Nightingale, second.
All right. Any issues or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Fred is in court doing something. He's going to be a little late, but hopefully he'll be able to make it, or we won't really need him. I'm not sure. Hopefully that too. If we could start with the department reports and our treasurer. And Karen, if you want, or however you want to handle it, Dave.
Karen and I have a little presentation to give you tonight, but before we start, I just want to make sure that no one had any questions on anything else before I get started.
Okay, you have a number of things here. Is there any questions on what the treasurer put on his report? Hearing none? Okay.
Okay, the other thing, before we get started, I wanted to report, I was asked to report on an OTB scenario for us here in the county. As you know, we do get a lot of funds from OTB. And our quarterly take this time around is about $78,473 that we've received from OTB, just to give you a heads up.
Is that up from last year, Dave?
Yes, that's up from 53,700 last year. So it's up almost 25,000.
As you guys know, Terry Baxter is our representative, and he's very interested in making sure this information gets conveyed to the county legislature when we get this information. So thank you, Dave.
Sure. The other thing I want to talk to you about, Karen and I, this is Karen Cool from Tourism. I want to talk to you tonight about is updating our policy with regards to short-term rentals. In the past, our short-term rentals have been considered under something called a boarding house situation. But the state is updating their language for short-term rentals because they become very popular. And we need to pass a resolution that mirrors the language that the state has for our STRs. And we'll be coming before you, hopefully within the next month, with that resolution for you to consider passing to update our language.
It would be a local law too, right? Is that-
Excuse me, a local
Yes.
law. That's what I meant, our local
Yep.
law, the language in our local law, because it's not as specific right now as it needs to be. And that's from the treasurer side of things. The second part of that language change is from Karen's side, and she's going to talk to you about that for a little bit.
I think they're the same side. The state passed the new legislature to create a registry to register all the short-term rentals in the state. With that comes more transparency in what is collected from short-term rentals and a sales tax collection, which was not available before. So that will definitely be an increase to the county. Short-term rentals between the treasurer's office, they have always maintained a registry. And there are some platforms that we already have a voluntary agreement with, Airbnb and Finger Lakes Premier Properties. So the treasurer's office has always maintained a really good registry already, so we don't anticipate a significant change to those, really. It's just more official because the state wants it, and there's a lot of counties out there who have never had it, so they're undergoing a lot more bumps than Cayuga County will. And like Dave said, the resolution is needed in order to update the change to the local law, just so it mirrors what New York State does. So there's no questions later that we're doing what the state requires. And the registry really will not change. It will continue being maintained the same way it has been.
We're ahead of most counties. We already have a pretty good registry right now. We figure we have about 90% of them. Just to give you an idea that right now there's approximately 250 in our county right now, short-term rentals. A short-term rental is defined as a stay for 30 days or less. And they become very popular. You've heard of Airbnb, Vrbo, and so on. They become very popular. And so that's why this language needs to be updated.
Will they pay the bed tax?
Yes,
Are they currently paying the bed tax?
yes.
So some of these that aren't registered probably are not paying the bed tax, correct?
Correct.
And now if there's somebody that's not registered and they're listed on Airbnb, Airbnb doesn't care.
Right.
Now with this new regulation, Airbnb will not be allowed to have anybody on their platform who cannot prove a registry number from the county. Therefore, you'll have lot more of those, a lot less of those running under the radar.
Thanks.
Great. When we talked, you didn't think there would be tons of them, but there certainly will be some.
Yeah, I'm sure there will be some, specifically with that case that I just mentioned, that they were on Airbnb before, but they didn't know they need a registry and stuff. I don't really think there's a lot of malintent out there. I'm sure there are some that are like, ha, 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 we're skirting the law. But I think the majority that'll pop up were people just were simply unaware. Like that, they've maintained a really good registry for a long time. So there will be some that will be calling to get registered, but I don't think it'll be a significant amount. That's my projection.
Great. Thank you. Any questions?
No, so if it's a local law that's changed, then it has to go that route and it has to be advertised for a public referendum
And that's why we want to bring in front of you the entire legislature so you can vote on it, have a public time to vote on that.
yeah, it's just a little longer process than a regular resolution to go through.
Fred is working feverishly to put together the language right now. If he was here, he could articulate that. And when I said both sides, I said the STR is on my side. And what I meant by on the side with Karen is from the tourism perspective. They have to work out the language for that.
Right.
And we want to do, instead of doing two different resolutions, we want to put them on the same resolution.
And you told me, like, that's old news, the opting in or out, but that's how this originally started. What's the county's position on this? And your position is
We're going to stay in.
full steam ahead.
Right. Full steam ahead.
Yep,
But all we have to vote on in this scenario is just the local law language.
correct. All right.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is related along the same line, not necessarily to those people. We all know we put 100 people a night in hotels every night. Do we charge or do we get a bed tax from them? Why are we exempt?
It's the county municipal contractor, just like we don't pay sales tax, and I don't believe they're subject to the bed tax. No. And Mark, Heidi might tell you the good news at Health and Human Services, that there were 84 people in hotels. Christine made a big deal at the meeting to say that those numbers were significantly down from what they were. So that's good news.
Just
One month.
Just by the way, a little history is that what we then called the bed tax, the room occupancy tax, was passed by this body in 1994 to develop some income to be able to use in the for tourism. That's why it was developed then.
Who knew the county'd be ahead of their time?
Right.
That's right.
Of course, I was on the legislature.
Oh, that was why.
May have been.
Uh-huh.
You're the guy.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you. Grace?
Wherever you are.
I'm here.
Hi.
I really don't have anything to add to the report. The only thing I do want to say is apologize for the confusion. I did put the June sales tax update on there. Totally forgot June. We get 4 payments in, so we get payments towards the end of the month. So I won't have an updated report to send out until we get all 4 payments in. I can say though that the first 2 payments are slightly up over the 2 payments for the same time period last year. So at least for the first 2 payments, we're, pretty steady. So
That's good.
It's always a
I don't
good
know if
thing.
anybody has any questions with anything else on my report.
Anything for Grace? All right.
Nope.
Thank you. Okay. Jenny, the resolutions we have are,
I don't have any of this.
yes, I'm wondering who they go on to.
Not me,
Okay. Purchasing,
I normally hog them, but no. not-
I think one is EAP services, so I think that's probably HR.
yeah, and the other is the vending machine.
Defending,
Okay, wonder who owns
that's
that?
probably government ops.
I don't know.
That one's actually mine.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right.
Okay. All right. Do you have anything new to report from what's on your information?
Just what I brought up to you today, my appointment will be ending September 30th. So just, I will need to be reappointed if you
Yes.
consider me.
And unless we want to do it by local law, we should do it prior to her appointment ending.
That'd be good.
Yes, that would be good. Yes.
So I don't know if there's any other questions on my report, but
That's a 6-year appointment?
it's a 6-year appointment.
How long is this your first 6?
This is, I didn't serve a
You
full
finished the
6.
term.
I finished the term.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, anything else? All right, thank you. Diane?
I'll move for you. 'cause like I
Okay.
said, I'm right behind you.
All right, okay.
Good afternoon. I'll just ask if anybody has any questions about my report, and then I do have one resolution. So
I had a couple questions. I just wanted to do some clarification. The 29 open positions that you cite on your report are all positions that have resolutions that have been approved to be filled.
correct.
So they're just waiting for the process to
Yes. So
unfold.
some of them stem back from the beginning of the year and going forward. So up to this.
And you said it's possible, but it's not as easy to find out how many open positions that are in people's budgets that are funded that are currently not in the process to be filled.
Right, so right now, from kind of looking over various, like the last couple of positions that, since the hiring freeze went through, there's counting those, knowing that a couple of departments have open positions that they haven't brought resolutions for. I would say we're at 6 or 7 that we don't have resolutions for right now that I know of.
Okay,
But I would have to ask all the department heads to verify their.
understood. And, I'm sorry, do you have?
Just quickly with that same, the 29, that, I think that is also fallen. Was it not 33
Yes.
the last?
Yes, because we have filled a few, the sheriff's hired a couple of custody officers, we had a couple of new case managers starting, we filled a position in the health department. So some things have been taking place as far as hiring goes, so.
And I remember Heidi, back in the day, there were 47 of them. I mean, yes, yep.
Yep.
And then I clarified with Diane that, currently working on employee issues, certainly there are some grievances and things, but with the union, it's really the 911 supervisors and the caseworkers that are still sort of out there.
Right, because we've had some discussions with them over positions, and then obviously, they have elected a new group, executive team for representation this year, so we're kind of also talking to them to hopefully, because their contract is up, that just getting ready for negotiations going forward, so yes, they know we want to.
And their officers are coming on, new officers.
New officers will come on July 1st.
Okay. And then I just wanted to have her speak a little bit to the fact that, to confirm that you are continuing to work on the Capulet non-bargaining comp study.
Correct. I've been working with Lynn.
Okay.
A lot of that, just reviewing it, going through positions. Obviously, when we have a director position open, such as the superintendent, we did look at that market analysis to ensure that we were at then market when we were looking at hiring for that role.
And is it still the case that whatever happens with this, though, you will be coming forward in September and October to sort of give the legislature an update of where we're at and what those realignment of salaries might look like for 26?
Yes.
That's the
Yep, we are
plan.
working on that. Correct.
Okay. Okay, all right. Any other questions for Diane? All right, thanks a lot.
Okay, I just have my one resolution if you want.
Oh,
to do that,
yes,
or
the
if you want to wait.
EAP. Yep, go ahead. It is WM1 to enter into an agreement for the employee assistance program services.
Yes, our current provider of our EAP services is retiring and closing his business. So he graciously offered to help us through the first half of the year. His services will end June 30th. I've been working with Amanda to go out with an RFP to reach out to various providers based on the information from people who were interested. This was the best value for the cost and the services that they provide. So, and it's not a huge increase over what we were previously paying. So we went from $13 an employee up to $18 an employee. So that was very good because a lot of the other county EAP services were averaging between 24 and 26 an employee. So we're quite happy with the pricing.
Okay, can I get a motion for WM1
I'll move on, W1.
in a second?
A second.
And any discussion?
Does our health insurance cover any, does it have any services similar to this?
It would cover more on the outpatient or inpatient services versus this is more in line with like more short-term counseling needs. So in that sense, so they would be able, before they would be preferred to a different provider for long-term services. So people would go through and they, wanted to discuss some family issues or other issues before they were then, so for example, having issues with a child before they would actually then maybe possibly need to go into rehab services, for example. They might, talk financially with a counselor on some things or marriage counseling before they started seeing someone on a regular basis, so.
To your point, most companies have an EAP program.
Yes.
Is it required?
No. But again, they would, so for example, if we need crisis services, they would come in and provide that to a group of people, for example, which is something new. They will do webinars and stuff on other things too. They would help with stress management, if employees needed that, so.
Guess I would support it tonight. I guess I would look into it a little bit more on our own health insurance. You say it's not a large increase, but it's probably over 40% increase. But I'll take some time to look into it with our health insurance.
Did you see it as duplication, Ben?
I don't want to have any duplication.
Right. Jonathan?
Diane, what's the utilization rate, of what our employees use? So do you have any idea if it's even used?
I think we average about a little over 100 employees throughout the calendar year that go for various services.
They provide us with a report, accounting report, so we can actually see.
Yes, they will give us a rough of how many people they see quarterly and for kind of the different services that they're going for. And it also is open to the employees' family members too.
Could you provide that for us?
Sure.
Thank you.
And part-time employees are eligible?
Yes.
To use EAP, full-time employees?
Correct.
And the total of both those counts is 7 or something, 100 and something?
Yeah, we estimated 800 employees.
And 100 use it.
A little over 100, I think. It fluctuates some.
Okay,
We'll have to vote on it if there isn't, they're just.
yes. We can vote to move it to the full edge. And then have further discussion. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
yep, and then hopefully you could give us that information. Yeah, okay, that would be great. Okay, Amanda.
I don't have anything to add to my report. I do have the vending machine resolution there. There is no cost to the county for the vending machine. We actually do get a commission for anything purchased out of the soda or the snack machine. And that goes into our Cayuga program.
Okay. Could I get a motion for WM too?
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? As you said, it's a 1-year contract extension, it's no cost. to the
Yeah, I
county.
do. So each year is an annual renewal. That way we're not stuck in for multiple years. Same thing goes for that EAP services. It's a 1-year contract with 4 optional 1-year renewables. So if you did go for it and determine that you didn't want to offer that service anymore, just to piggyback on what Diane was reporting, you could opt out of it.
And the 12% commission is the same.
Yeah, that doesn't change.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
And then just to add that the new buildings and grounds person started this week, so you won't hopefully get too many more resolutions from me related to HVAC or anything with the buildings. Except for speaking from a purchasing standpoint on it and trying to compile everything to be able to transition it over been managing a lot of the contracts, the project list, vendor list, things like that. So that will start to transition away from what I've been doing to help. And then just if anybody had any questions on your report.
The health transportation services is based on the fact that there's a new preschool that isn't part of our bid yet.
Yeah, so there's a new Little Tykes location that opened in Camillus.
Okay.
And they have littles that need to go there essentially that we have to provide the transport for. As far as I understand, it is mandated that we have to do that.
Oh, yes, yep.
So we're gonna do a bid for that location, but I met with them to go over, potential piggybacking on Onondaga County because their rates are substantially better. The location is in Camillus, and I talked to them about splitting our county into different territories, if you will, to go out to bid for whatever's closest to certain locations to get better pricing with routes. So I'm working with them on that.
Good. And I saw you're doing the HEAP outreach program. That's short time frame, but thank you for getting that to see if we can.
Yeah, we're gonna do our best on that. We've pulled a lot of what other counties are doing. I know there are a couple of counties that utilize their Office of Aging for the elderly, and then they use a provider for the other. So we looked at some of those things and different bids, and so I'm hoping to have that at least out for this within the next week or so, because the time frame is short.
Yep.
So we'll do our best effort on that.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for her? And we did a resolution, did we? Yes, we're all in favor. Okay. All right.
Thank you for stepping up for work while we replace the building and ground supervisor.
I wanted to ask the committee, next month, July, we'll be doing those budget reports, the quarterly reports within your departments. Do you want to have a special meeting for that? Do you want to do it like we did last month and have it at the same time, get it over? I mean, I don't mean it like that, but
Doing it at the same time, I think that worked okay.
okay.
Everybody else agrees, yeah.
All right, okay. And I'm going to call Angela Skellington and see if we can get some kind of report from her as our auditor as well. All right. The only other thing before we start with the other resolutions is, I know I wanted to just report, and if everyone knows this, sorry. I had a conversation about our tax cap calculation today. And from what I'm told, it's a complicated formula used to calculate that tax cap. Some information we need will come from the state comptroller's office, which is the growth factor. And that may be another month or more out before we know that. And a lot of the information also comes from real property. And that isn't really readily available till November. That's the true story?
Correct. So it's as information comes in
Yep.
to me from different sources. Yeah.
Yes.
Generally, I don't have that until end of October, beginning of November on
And
certain items.
I know the resolution is a ledge resolution. There's an attached local law, or there's an attached resolution to this after the public hearing if whatever we decide to do. But as we consider what we'll do after the public hearing, there are things I think that we all should consider. At this time, it looks like our tax cap will be less than 3%. We have essentially no rollover to use since we used it all last year. If the tax cap stays there, we'll have to seriously look at cutting operations or use more of the fund balance. And neither of those are the greatest of options. If we vote to exceed the tax cap, understand we are not mandated to do it. We just have the ability we just secure the ability to do it because we need to carefully decide what we should do, because if not, we'll be handcuffed by this state arbitrary cap. So the state puts the cap out and we either follow it or we take the measures to say, no, we're securing the right to exceed it, but it doesn't mean we have to exceed it. So I think it's somewhat of a safeguard. So I don't know if there's appetite to vote next month or at Tuesday on, I don't know if there's appetite to table it. Certainly, I would be concerned if we defeated it, because then we'd have to go back and have another public hearing. So I guess I'm just saying, at this point in time, if it really looks like our tax cap will be less than 3%, that's really going to pretty much handcuff what we do. So that's all. I don't know what the legislature will want to do next month. And like I said, Fred told me if we tabled it till, for example, September, we wouldn't have to have another public hearing.
Correct.
But if it was decided to be voted on and defeated, then we would have to have.
So it would take 2 meetings. You'd have to have a meeting to set the date and time for public hearing and then have the public hearing.
Right.
Could be done in special meetings, but it
Right.
handcuffs your time frame to get things done.
Right. And it is true, even if we vote to exceed the cap, not knowing exactly what the cap is until closer to the end of the year, it doesn't mean we have to do it.
That's correct. It gives you the ability to.
Okay. Okay, that's all. Okay, Heidi?
Madam Chair, Health and Human Services had 9 resolutions with one resolution pulled, HH6, to be discussed further detail in July. There are some resolutions that I would like to bundle.
Okay.
They would be HH1, HH2, HH5, HH8, and HH9 as a bundle at this time. All of these resolutions, and I'll go through them if we approve the bundle or not, have to do with authorizing the contracts for certain services that we do at this time in the calendar year for social services and Office of Aging and Department of Public Health.
I'll make a motion to bundle 1, 2, 5, 8, and 9.
I'll second.
Okay, so HH1 is for nurse course for RN services to fill the need of a special preschool student where the nurse is required to be in school with the child. We're mandated to provide that nursing service. HH2 is entering into a contract for public health preparedness, working in collaboration with the New York State Department of Health and accepting funds at the same time. HH5 is entering it into a contract with Access to Home Care Services. This is for our long-term care unit in social services. And in the Office of Aging area, authorizing a contract with Access to Home for aid services, and also contracting with Turner Helping Seniors. It used to be Seniors Helping Seniors for a level of aid-related services.
Questions on the bundle? Can I get a motion for the bundle?
Yeah.
Oh, in a second?
Yeah.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Madam Chair, I would also like to bundle now HH3 and HH7. Both of these resolutions are regarding fills. HH3 is the fill of the 3 HEAP clerks. That's actually down 1.
Seasonal staff, right?
Seasonal
Yep.
staff. We had 4 last year, so we made that change down to 3. And the other fill is a head social welfare examiner with the Department of Social Services. These are all budgeted. These are all positions that have been excluded in the hiring pause.
Yes, the Personnel Committee met, certainly the legislature approved, including the head social welfare examiner. We did remove the backfill language and we'll have to revisit that in September.
Move to be in September.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Great.
And then HH4, this is a resolution to accept funds. This is funding for summer youth employment program for and amending the budget 2025 to accept those funds accordingly. There was actually much greater number of funds available. So we will be able to, working with Kelly King, will be able to put about 65 young people to work this summer, where typically we've done 45 to 48. So that's a good thing.
Do we get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Government operation, me. GO1 authorizing the chief information officer to purchase network connectivity and infrastructure to support the relocation of the data center. Tom presented that at the government ops meeting. It's his recommendation that, this equipment be moved. He's using money from his own budget, and there was a transfer within the 25 budget to make this whole. So I'd like to get a motion for GO1.
Thank you. A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. And then GO2 is, after discussion, there was an amendment to the Cayuga County spending policy.
Thank you. Move it.
Second.
Questions?
I guess I don't have the resolution in front of me, but the current policy that is the legislature that has to approve the purchases, or is it the chair and
It's the
the,
legislature, I believe.
but the new one, it's the chair and,
There are some exceptions.
Oh, no, I
yes.
didn't think it was the chair. I thought it was
The
just to
legislature.
change the dollar amount from 5 to 10.
And then we added language to allow a provision that if we needed to gain a 4 to sign, we could. That needs to be amended because it's written wrong. It should be the majority leader, minority leader, chair of ways.
okay, that's,
Yeah.
Yes, that was my question.
It's a grammatical error, but again, to go over that limit requires a vote of the legislature. It's not up to the chair.
Right.
Only in the special circumstance for emergency order.
And 100% funded or something, right? Yep.
I'd also like to offer an amendment from 10,000 to 7,500. In the meeting, we talked, I think the chairman talked about, with inflation, it's 7,500, but then the number was moved up to 10,000. So if the real number with inflation is 7,500, I think we should stick with that.
Okay, and for both the equipment and capital improvements, right? Both areas?
Yeah.
Okay, there's a motion, there's an amendment on the floor.
Second it for discussion.
Okay, there's a second.
Thank you.
I'm just looking up the actual language right now.
Okay,
I guess it comes down to how much the legislature wants to come before them. 7,500 obviously would increase the amount of resolutions going forward.
you initially got pushback that this would be too low. But who cares? Yeah, but,
I
right,
did make the inflationary index.
Yep.
That Mr. Vitale is correct,
Mhm.
74 something, $7,500. Again, I was a little concerned that we'd see a lot of resolutions at that pace, but again, I have no objection to the change being made.
and you guys? What are you thinking?
This
Go
This
ahead.
may well be the time to, put that extra work on our plate to look at purchasing and,
Equipment and
So
capital improvements.
that, lowering it to 7,500 does put more on our plate in terms of resolutions, but it also puts, more opportunity to tighten if we need to. We're actually looking at it, it's on our plates.
Yeah, I guess I don't feel that going down to 7,500, I don't really think it's gonna handcuff operations too much. I think we're,
All right, we have a motion and a second for the amendment. All in favor of the amendment?
Okay.
How, now I gotta do this, like the
As amended.
resolution as amended?
Resolution as amended, first, second discussion.
Okay, could I get,
Amend to add the majority leader though in there?
I thought it was both. Add the majority leader
Is that
and
both?
change the amount to 7,500.
Wait,
No, I just did the 7,500.
right,
Okay,
right.
thank you for clarifying.
You wanted to make sure it just wasn't the chairman.
I didn't want it to be
I
just,
misunderstood.
But we do need to change,
Clarify the language.
yeah.
It's the language needs to be fixed on that section, that paragraph. It's not accurately outlining who the individuals are.
When it says emergency authorizations, it doesn't include
That's why
the
I was
majority
confused.
leader, and it needs to include the majority leader. So we
So,
can,
so just so I'm not confused, it's been amended?
Yep.
Okay, so are there any other, maybe you ask if there are any other amendments? And then if there are, vote on the amendments. If there aren't, then add.
Could you tell us how, since I don't have it in front of us, how does it read?
Looking for government apps now.
so, in one of the sections, like Part B, emergency authorizations approved by the chairman of the legislature, the oversight committee chairperson, the ways and means committee chairman, and the minority leader. And that needs to include the majority leader.
Okay,
I'll make that amendment if that's what makes it work here.
Neater and cleaner if it's done that way.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor of the second amendment? Yes?
Resolution is amended.
Yeah, all right. Is the resolution is amended?
Move it.
Second,
Nightingale.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yep. We would have more fun if you didn't come.
I can.
No.
I mean,
All right, planning?
Oh, no.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Planning has 5 resolutions to the committee. The first one is authorizing the purchase of RTV for the Parks and Trails Department. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move it.
Nightingale, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. PL 2 is authorizing the execution of reaffirmation of land and water conservation funded parks and trails property.
I'll move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. PL 3, authorizing the replacement of Emerson Park Pavilion emergency exit doors.
Move it.
Nightingale, second.
All
In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. PL 4, authorizing the installation of window film at the Sterling Nature Center to protect Mark Strong's artwork.
Nightingale, move it.
Oh, you put that up there when you drew a picture?
No.
Remember you drew a picture at Sterling?
I did.
Okay.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
PL 5, authorizing the chair of the legislature and Parks and Trails Director to accept New York State swing grant and enter into a contract with New York State Department of State.
Move it.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Public Works.
3 resolutions, both them through committee. I'd like to bundle 1 and 2. One is for the extension of the lease to State Street, 3rd floor, and the other is to authorize the repair contract for the HVAC and the Hardenberg building. Both are kind of required, I believe.
I'll move one and 2.
Second the bundle.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The third one, I don't know if you want to approve it, it's the authorization to accept additional paving funds.
Yeah, I'll move it.
Second.
Nightingale, so.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Winslow?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Judicial and Public Safety has a total of 3 resolutions. I would like to start out and bundle JP 1 and JP 2. They are both identical, authorizing to fill 1 full-time vacant supervising emergency services dispatcher position. So there would be for JP 1 and same for JP 2.
I'll move the bundle 1 and 2.
Nightingale, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
And JP 3, to authorize the sheriff to fill 3 vacant deputy sheriff custody positions in the Cayuga County Sheriff's Office.
Nightingale, move it.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
And carried. That is JPS.
Okay. as we said, the public hearing will be held in terms of overriding the tax cap, and then there'll be some consideration and decisions that need to be made on what direction we're going to go. Any other discussion on that? Yep.
The date is already set for the public hearing.
My understanding, we said it last month and we're holding it this month, correct?
Yes,
And then we can decide what to do with the resolution.
that's correct.
Thank you for the clarification.
And we're not gonna get the information till for the end
Of the year.
of the year.
There is no one set magic number, right? It's just, there's a lot of variables and they aren't available yet.
Yes, that's true. Yep,
The estimate can't be too far off.
yeah, you mean in terms of it being less than 3%?
Yeah, it can't vary by more than 1%.
And very, and almost no rollover. Nothing, because we used it all last year. It's going to be it would be difficult to stay below 3% and continue some of the services and not use a lot of the fund balance.
We used all the rollover available last year.
Correct. Yep. Okay,
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
yeah.
All right.